What if your exhaustion is not because you are weak? What if you are tired because every day, the world reaches into your mind, takes your attention, triggers your emotions, sells you urgency, feeds you comparison, and then tells you the problem is your lack of discipline? That is the lie most people never question. They call it ambition when you are always available. They call it productivity when you cannot rest. They call it staying informed when your nervous system is drowning in bad news. They call it being social when you are quietly comparing your life to people who are performing happiness for a camera. And when you finally feel empty, irritable, anxious, disconnected, and burned out, they tell you to breathe, meditate, and try harder. But Stoicism saw this coming long before smartphones, corporate pressure, social media, and the modern performance economy existed. The Stoics understood something brutal about human nature: the outside world does not need to control your body if it can control your reactions. And Machiavelli would add something even darker: many people do not need to defeat you directly. They only need to keep you emotionally unstable long enough for you to defeat yourself. In this video, we are not talking about peace as a soft idea. We are talking about peace as protection. We are going to look at why chronic stress is not just a personal problem, but a consequence of living in a society designed to keep you reactive. We will break down how FOMO steals your attention, how anger drains your authority, how fear writes your future before you even move, how drama turns your mind into someone else's battlefield, and why the strongest people are not the loudest, the busiest, or the most available. They are the ones who cannot be easily disturbed. And stay until the end, because there is one mistake almost everyone makes when trying to become calm: they try to control their emotions without first removing the people and systems that profit from triggering them. That mistake keeps many good people exhausted for years. So listen carefully. Because the goal is not to escape life. The goal is to stop letting life use you. 1. You do not have to keep up with a world that wants you exhausted. Most people do not burn out all at once. They disappear from themselves slowly. It starts with checking your phone before your feet touch the floor. One message from work. One headline. One notification. One person online showing a life that looks cleaner, richer, happier, freer than yours. Then your day begins, but your mind is already behind. You have not even brushed your teeth, but you are already comparing. Already reacting. Already carrying the emotional noise of people who do not know you exist. This is how modern stress works. It does not always attack you like a crisis. It enters quietly, disguised as relevance. You tell yourself, I just want to stay updated. But updated on what? Updated on strangers' opinions. Updated on conflicts you cannot solve. Updated on lifestyles that may not even be real. Updated on a world that rewards people for making you feel late to your own life. This is the machinery of FOMO. Fear of missing out is not just the fear that others are having more fun. It is the fear that your life is not enough unless someone else confirms it. And that is where the trap begins. Because once your worth depends on comparison, peace becomes impossible. There will always be someone younger, richer, more attractive, more productive, more admired, more visible, or more lucky. There will always be a new trend, a new opportunity, a new crisis, a new standard, a new thing you are supposed to care about. A society built on attention cannot afford for you to feel complete. A complete person is a bad customer. A calm person does not click every headline. A grounded person does not buy every insecurity. A self-contained person does not beg for validation from strangers. That is why the world keeps whispering, you are missing something. But the Stoic answer is simple and merciless. You are not missing life. You are missing silence. Marcus Aurelius said you have power over your mind, not outside events. When you understand this, you find strength. But most people never find that strength because their mind is never truly theirs. It is rented out by the hour to algorithms, co-workers, family drama, social pressure, and imaginary expectations. You cannot build a peaceful life while constantly allowing the outside world to assign your priorities. So the first act of recovery is not doing more. It is refusing more. Refuse the need to know everything. Refuse the pressure to respond instantly. Refuse the addiction to measuring your private life against someone else's public performance. Refuse the false urgency of people who benefit when you feel behind. This does not mean becoming lazy. It means becoming selective. There is a difference between discipline and being constantly available. Discipline is choosing what deserves your energy. Burnout is letting everything take a piece of it. Ask yourself, what are you calling responsibility that is actually fear? Are you checking messages because it matters, or because you are afraid someone will be disappointed? Are you chasing opportunities because they align with your values, or because you fear being invisible? Are you saying yes because you want to, or because you are afraid of being judged? A person without boundaries will always look useful to others and feel empty to themselves. So begin here. Redefine success. Success is not being reachable every minute. It is being able to live one day without betraying your nervous system. Success is not keeping up with everyone. It is knowing who you are when no one is watching. Success is not being busy. Busy people can still be deeply lost. Success is spending your energy on things that still matter when the noise fades. For some people, that means closing the laptop on time. For others, it means not answering a message at midnight. For others, it means leaving a group chat where everyone confuses gossip with connection. For others, it means admitting that the life they are chasing online is not even the life they truly want. This is not weakness. This is mental sovereignty. And in a world that profits from your distraction, choosing what not to care about becomes an act of quiet rebellion. 2. Philosophy is not decoration. It is medicine for a mind under attack. Many people treat philosophy like something old, distant, and academic. Something written by dead men in robes. Something for classrooms, quotes, and coffee mugs. But real philosophy was never meant to decorate your bookshelf. It was meant to help you survive yourself. The Stoics did not write because life was easy. They wrote because life was unstable, people were cruel, power was corrupt, bodies got sick, fortunes changed, and emotions could destroy a person faster than enemies could. They understood that the human mind is both a sanctuary and a battlefield. And today, that battlefield is more crowded than ever. Your mind is attacked by comparison. By work pressure. By financial fear. By family expectations. By political rage. By social media performance. By the silent belief that you should be doing better by now. You may live in a comfortable house and still feel hunted. That is the strange sickness of modern life. Many people are not in physical danger, but their nervous system behaves as if they are. Always alert. Always bracing. Always waiting for the next problem. This is why philosophy matters. Not as theory. As medicine. But medicine only works when you are honest about the diagnosis. And the diagnosis is this: much of your suffering does not come from what happens. It comes from the meaning your mind attaches to what happens. A rude message becomes, "They do not respect me." A delay becomes, "Everything is falling apart." A mistake becomes, "I am a failure." Someone's success becomes, "I am behind." Someone's silence becomes, "I am being rejected." The event is small. The story becomes enormous. This is where Stoicism enters. Epictetus taught that people are not disturbed by things, but by the views they take of them. That sentence sounds simple until you realize how much of your life has been shaped by interpretations you never questioned. You did not just react to the world. You reacted to the version of the world your fear created. And this is where a Machiavellian understanding of society makes the lesson sharper. Many systems and many people know how to manipulate interpretation. A toxic person does not need to hurt you physically. They only need to make you doubt your reality. A manipulative workplace does not need to chain you to a desk. It only needs to make you feel guilty for resting. A fake social circle does not need to openly reject you. It only needs to make you feel that your value depends on approval. The modern world is full of invisible prisons built from emotional pressure. Philosophy is how you find the door. It teaches you to pause before accepting the first story your mind tells you. It asks, is this true? Is this useful? Is this within my control? Is this my burden, or did someone hand it to me because I looked responsible enough to carry it? That last question matters. Because burned out people are often not weak people. They are often responsible people who never learned where responsibility ends. They carry the mood of the room. They carry the family tension. They carry coworkers who do not plan well. They carry the emotional immaturity of people who never learned self-control. And because they can handle more, the world gives them more. Philosophy as medicine begins with one painful truth. Just because you can endure something does not mean you should keep allowing it. A Stoic is not someone who tolerates every insult, every demand, every manipulation, every emotional burden. That is not wisdom. That is self-abandonment wearing a noble mask. True Stoicism is not passive suffering. It is disciplined perception, disciplined action, and disciplined withdrawal from what corrupts the soul. So use philosophy like medicine. When anxiety comes, diagnose the attachment. When anger comes, diagnose the wounded expectation. When envy comes, diagnose the comparison. When exhaustion comes, diagnose the boundary you failed to protect. When fear comes, diagnose the future you are obeying before it even arrives. Then treat the cause, not just the symptom. Do not merely ask, how do I calm down? Ask, why did I give this so much power over me? That question is where healing begins. 3. Anger feels powerful until you realize it makes you predictable. Anger is seductive because it gives you a temporary sense of strength. For a few seconds, you feel alive. Sharp. Certain. Ready to strike back. Someone disrespects you, and your body prepares for war. Someone cuts you off in traffic, and suddenly your peace is worth less than proving a point. Someone sends a cold email, and your mind writes a courtroom speech before you even understand what happened. Anger enters like a defender. But if you are not careful, it leaves like a thief. It steals your judgment. It steals your dignity. It steals your timing. It steals the silence that would have made you more powerful. This is why anger is dangerous. Not because it is unnatural. Anger is human. But uncontrolled anger makes you easy to read. And anything easy to read is easy to control. Machiavelli understood power as perception, timing, and restraint. The person who can be provoked on command is not powerful, no matter how loud they sound. In fact, the easiest person to manipulate is not the weak person. It is the reactive person. A manipulator only needs to find your trigger. Then they do not need to defeat you. They only need to press it. This happens in families. One comment, and you become the child again. This happens at work. One passive-aggressive remark, and you start defending yourself to people who were never listening. This happens online. One stranger insults you, and you spend 10 minutes giving your life force to someone who wanted exactly that. Ask yourself honestly, how many times has anger made your situation better? Not made you feel better for 10 seconds. Not gave you the illusion of control. Actually improved your life. Most emotional outbursts do not solve the problem. They give the problem more evidence against you. Seneca warned that anger can do more harm to the vessel that contains it than to the object it is poured upon. That is not poetry. That is strategy. Because when anger takes over, you stop seeing clearly. You exaggerate. You personalize. You predict disaster. You confuse disrespect with danger. You confuse silence with weakness. You confuse reaction with justice. But the calm person sees more. The calm person notices the pattern. The calm person hears what is not being said. The calm person watches who benefits from the conflict. The calm person understands that not every insult deserves the dignity of a response. This does not mean you become harmless. It means your response becomes chosen, not triggered. There is a difference. A triggered person attacks immediately. A chosen response waits, observes, and acts where it matters. In real life, this might look simple. Your coworker makes a dismissive comment in a meeting. The old you wants to correct them instantly, with heat in your voice. The disciplined you pauses. You let the room hear the comment. Then you respond with one clean sentence: let's stay with the actual issue. No explosion. No performance. No emotional donation. Or your partner says something sharp during an argument. The old you escalates. The disciplined you says, I am willing to talk, but not like this. Then you stop feeding the fire. Or someone online tries to provoke you. The old you replies. The disciplined you scrolls past because you finally understand. Some people throw hooks because they are starving for your attention. Do not feed what is trying to use you. The first step is recognizing your triggers. What makes you lose control? Being ignored. Being misunderstood. Being talked down to. Being falsely accused. Being compared. Being interrupted. Being treated like your effort is invisible. Do not shame yourself for having triggers. Study them. Every trigger is a map. It shows you where your ego still wants protection. It shows you where old wounds are still open. It shows you where others can still enter without permission. Then practice the pause. Not because pausing is soft. Because pausing gives your intelligence time to return. Breathe before answering. Walk before sending the message. Sleep before making the decision. Let silence stand between stimulus and response. That silence is not empty. It is where your power gathers. 4. Anxiety is often obedience to a future that has not happened. Anxiety feels like preparation. That is what makes it so convincing. Your mind says, I am just thinking ahead. I am being responsible. I am protecting myself. But many times, anxiety is not preparation. It is imagination without discipline. It takes one possibility and treats it like prophecy. It takes one risk and turns it into destiny. It takes one uncertain outcome and builds a prison around it. You have not failed yet, but your body already feels ashamed. You have not been rejected yet, but your chest already tightens. You have not lost the job yet, but your mind has already packed the boxes. You have not had the conversation yet, but you have already suffered through 5 versions of it. Seneca said we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. That line survives because it exposes something timeless. The human mind can torture itself with things that have not happened, may never happen, and may not even be as bad as imagined. Modern life makes this worse. Because uncertainty is everywhere. Markets shift. Jobs change. Relationships become fragile. Social status moves fast. News cycles turn fear into entertainment. Platforms reward outrage. Companies reward urgency. People act confident while quietly falling apart. Everyone looks like they are managing better than you. But behind closed doors, many people are lying awake at 2:43 a.m., staring at the ceiling, trying to solve a future they cannot control. You are not alone in that. But you do need to understand the mechanism. Anxiety often begins with attachment to control. You want certainty before you act. You want approval before you speak. You want guarantees before you risk. You want to know how everything ends before you begin. But life does not offer that bargain. So the Stoic does something different. The Stoic separates what belongs to them from what does not. Your preparation belongs to you. The outcome does not. Your effort belongs to you. Other people's opinions do not. Your honesty belongs to you. Their reaction does not. Your discipline belongs to you. The timing of life does not. This separation is not emotional denial. It is mental hygiene. Without it, you absorb everything. You absorb the market. You absorb your boss's mood. You absorb your partner's silence. You absorb your parents' expectations. You absorb strangers' opinions. You absorb tomorrow before today has even begun. No nervous system can survive that forever. So when anxiety rises, do not immediately ask, how do I make this feeling go away? Ask, what am I trying to control that was never mine? That question cuts through illusion. Maybe you are anxious because you want everyone to understand you. They will not. Maybe you are anxious because you want the future to promise safety. It cannot. Maybe you are anxious because you want success without criticism. Impossible. Maybe you are anxious because you want to be loved without ever being vulnerable. That is not love. That is negotiation with fear. The answer is not to become careless. The answer is to act where action is possible and release where control is imaginary. If you have a presentation, prepare. If you have a difficult conversation, clarify your truth. If you are worried about money, review your numbers. If you are afraid of rejection, take the step anyway. If you are overwhelmed by news, stop turning your morning into a battlefield. Action shrinks anxiety because action returns you to reality. Fear grows in the abstract. It feeds on vague shadows. So make it specific. What exactly are you afraid of? What evidence supports it? What can you do today? What must you stop rehearsing because it is not under your command? A person who refuses to define their fear becomes ruled by it. A person who names it begins to stand above it. This is not easy. But it is clean. And clean thinking is rare in a society that profits from emotional fog. 5. Fear becomes a prophecy when you start acting like it is true. Fear does not always stop you by shouting. Sometimes it stops you by advising you. It sounds reasonable. Wait until you are ready. Do not speak yet. Do not try. You might fail. Do not trust. You might get hurt. Do not change. What if it gets worse? Fear often wears the costume of wisdom. And if you listen long enough, your life becomes smaller without you noticing. You stop applying because rejection feels likely. You stop expressing yourself because judgment feels inevitable. You stop asking for what you deserve because disappointment feels familiar. You stop taking risks because comfort feels safer than possibility. Then years pass. And one day you realize fear did not protect you. It negotiated your life down to a size it could manage. That is the true danger. Fear is not only an emotion. It is a builder. It builds routines. It builds excuses. It builds identities. It builds relationships where you ask for less than you need. It builds careers where you stay longer than you should. It builds a personality around avoiding pain. Then you call it, who I am. But it is not who you are. It is what fear trained you to repeat. This is why fear becomes self-fulfilling. If you fear failure and never try, your life confirms that you cannot succeed. If you fear rejection and never open yourself, your loneliness confirms that people do not choose you. If you fear conflict and never set boundaries, resentment confirms that relationships are exhausting. If you fear being seen and hide your abilities, invisibility confirms that no one notices you. Fear creates the behavior that creates the evidence. Then it says, see? I was right. This is manipulation from within. And if you understand Machiavelli's view of human nature, you know this: power often belongs to the person who understands fear better than others do. In society, fear is used constantly. Fear of being fired. Fear of being excluded. Fear of being judged. Fear of aging. Fear of being poor. Fear of being alone. Fear of being irrelevant. Entire industries are built on making you feel unsafe and then selling you relief. So the question is not, how do I remove fear? You cannot remove fear completely. The question is, who benefits when fear makes my decisions? That question is sharp. Because sometimes the answer is obvious. A toxic boss benefits when you are afraid to say no. A manipulative partner benefits when you fear abandonment. A fake friend benefits when you fear social rejection. A system built on consumption benefits when you fear not having enough. And sometimes the person benefiting is the old version of you. The version that would rather stay familiar than become free. Stoicism does not ask you to pretend fear is not real. It asks you to stop treating fear as king. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is action under pressure. The public speaker still feels the pulse rise. They speak anyway. The entrepreneur still sees the risk. They test anyway. The person leaving a toxic environment still feels guilt. They leave anyway. The person rebuilding after failure still hears doubt. They move anyway. This is how confidence is built. Not by thinking your way into certainty, but by proving to yourself, through action, that fear can be present without being in charge. Start small if you must. Send the message. Make the call. Say the boundary. Apply for the role. Walk away from the argument. Spend one evening without checking the thing that keeps pulling you back into anxiety. Every small act of courage weakens fear's authority. Not all at once, but enough. And enough is where freedom begins. 6. Impulses are the chains you defend because they feel like freedom. Modern culture sells impulse as authenticity. Say what you feel. Buy what you want. Reply immediately. React honestly. Treat every urge like truth. But not every urge deserves obedience. Some impulses are just pain looking for a door. The urge to send the angry text. The urge to check their profile. The urge to buy something you do not need. The urge to eat because you are anxious, not hungry. The urge to explain yourself to someone committed to misunderstanding you. The urge to quit the moment things become uncomfortable. Each impulse promises relief. But many impulses create a longer prison. You feel better for 1 minute. Then you inherit the consequence. This is how people lose authority over themselves. Not through one dramatic collapse. Through repeated surrender to small urges. Aristotle said excellence is not an act, but a habit. The same is true of weakness. Weakness is also built through repetition. Every time you obey an impulse without examination, you teach your mind that discomfort is an emergency. And once discomfort becomes an emergency, discipline becomes almost impossible. Because discipline requires sitting with discomfort without immediately escaping. That is rare now. We live in a world designed to remove friction. Hungry. Order instantly. Bored. Scroll instantly. Lonely. Message instantly. Angry. Post instantly. Insecure. Buy instantly. Uncomfortable. Distract instantly. But a person who cannot tolerate discomfort cannot build anything deep. Not a body. Not a business. Not a marriage. Not a reputation. Not a mind. Because everything meaningful requires delayed gratification. And delayed gratification feels like death to the undisciplined nervous system. That is why impulse control is not a small skill. It is the foundation of authority. A calm person is not someone who has no urges. A calm person is someone who does not let every urge become a command. The pause is everything. Before you act, ask. What is this impulse trying to solve? Is this action aligned with the person I respect in myself? Will I be proud of this in 1 hour? Is this relief or escape? Is someone else benefiting from my reaction? That last question matters. Because your impulses are often predictable to others. Marketers know your insecurity. Algorithms know your boredom. Toxic people know your guilt. Manipulators know your need to be understood. Drama seekers know your urge to defend yourself. If your impulses are visible, your strings are visible. So cut the strings. Not through harsh self-hatred. Through clear self-command. If you want to buy impulsively, wait 24 hours. If you want to reply emotionally, write the message and do not send it. If you want to argue, ask whether the person wants truth or just conflict. If you want to escape, ask what pain you are avoiding. If you want to give up, rest first, then decide. This is how you become harder to manipulate. Not by becoming cold. By becoming less automatic. 7. Do not seek drama. Drama is where weak people go to feel important. Drama can feel alive. That is why people keep returning to it. A crisis gives them identity. An argument gives them intensity. Gossip gives them connection. Conflict gives them a role to play. Some people do not want peace. Peace would force them to face the emptiness underneath the noise. So they create storms and invite you in. They tell you the story with just enough emotion to pull you to their side. They exaggerate. They omit details. They make every situation urgent. They use your empathy as an entry point. Then suddenly, their chaos is living inside your nervous system. You did not create the problem. But now you are carrying it. This is one of the most common paths to burnout. Not work alone. Not responsibility alone. Emotional contamination. You absorb the instability of people who have no intention of becoming stable. A coworker always has gossip. A friend always has a crisis. A family member always creates tension before important moments. A partner always turns small issues into emotional warfare. An online space always pulls you into outrage. At first, you think you are being supportive. But over time, you realize some people do not want support. They want an audience. And if you keep giving them your attention, they will keep performing suffering in front of you. This is where stoicism must become firm. Compassion without boundaries becomes self-destruction. You can care without entering. You can listen without absorbing. You can love someone without letting their chaos govern your day. Epictetus warned that if someone succeeds in provoking you, your own mind has become complicit in the provocation. That is a hard truth. Because it means the door was not only open from the outside. Part of you allowed entry. Maybe because you wanted to help. Maybe because you wanted to be needed. Maybe because conflict feels familiar. Maybe because silence makes you uncomfortable. Maybe because you confuse emotional involvement with loyalty. But loyalty to others should not require betrayal of yourself. Choose your battles. Not everything deserves your nervous system. Before entering conflict, ask. Is this my responsibility? Is this solvable? Is this pattern repeating? Does this person want clarity or just reaction? Will my involvement improve anything, or only drain me? Many arguments lose their power when you refuse to audition for a role in them. The office gossip comes to you with another story. You say, I hope it works out, and return to your work. The dramatic friend repeats the same crisis for the 10th time. You say, I care about you, but I cannot keep revisiting this if nothing changes. The family member tries to provoke you. You answer calmly once, then stop participating. The internet demands your outrage. You close the app. This is not avoidance. This is energy management. And energy management is life management. Because the life you build depends on the energy you protect. 8. Emotional outbursts ask one question: did that actually make you stronger? There is a moment after an emotional outburst that most people know too well. The room becomes quiet. The message has been sent. The words have been spoken. The door has been slammed. The damage is now real. And then comes the emptiness. Not power. Not peace. Not victory. Just the heavy realization that you gave your emotions the keys and they drove straight into the wall. This is the moment to ask one brutal question. Did that make you feel better? Not for 2 seconds. Not in the heat. Not while your ego was still clapping. After. When the adrenaline fades. Did it make you stronger? Did it solve the issue? Did it protect your dignity? Did it move your life forward? Did it reflect the person you are trying to become? Most of the time, the answer hurts. No. The outburst did not help. It only gave your pain a louder voice. This does not make you bad. It makes you human. But being human is not an excuse to remain untrained. Aristotle said anyone can become angry, but to be angry with the right person, to the right degree, at the right time, for the right purpose, and in the right way, that is not easy. That is emotional mastery. Not suppression. Mastery. Suppression says, I feel nothing. Mastery says, I feel it, but I choose the form it takes. There is a difference. A person who suppresses emotions becomes now more explosive. A person who masters emotions becomes precise. And precision is power. Before reacting, hit the pause button. Ask, what is the real wound here? Am I angry because of what happened now, or because this reminds me of something older? Am I reacting to disrespect, or to fear of being insignificant? Am I defending truth, or defending ego? Am I trying to solve a problem, or punish someone for making me feel powerless? These questions are uncomfortable. That is why they work. They interrupt the performance. Many people do not want clarity in emotional moments. They want permission. Permission to explode. Permission to blame. Permission to say the thing they have been rehearsing. Permission to become the version of themselves they later regret. But silent authority does not live by permission. It lives by command. Self-command. When pressure rises, slow down. Lower your voice. Shorten your sentences. Remove unnecessary explanation. Do not chase understanding from people who are committed to distortion. Sometimes the most powerful sentence is, I am not continuing this conversation like this. Then stop. No speech. No lecture. No emotional court case. Just withdrawal of access. People who feed on reaction hate clean endings. Give them one anyway. 9. Invincibility is not being untouched. It is being unowned. Many people misunderstand strength. They think strength means nothing hurts you. That is not strength. That is fantasy. Life will hurt you. You will lose people. You will be misunderstood. You will fail at things you cared about. You will be criticized by people who know only a fragment of your story. You will face seasons where effort does not immediately become reward. No philosophy can remove that. Stoicism does not promise a painless life. It promises a mind that does not collapse every time pain arrives. That is real invincibility. Not immunity. Recovery. Not emotional numbness. Freedom from ownership. Because the question is not whether life can touch you. It will. The question is whether it can own you. Can rejection own your identity? Can criticism own your confidence? Can failure own your future? Can betrayal own your capacity to trust yourself? Can uncertainty own your decisions? If the answer is yes, then the outside world still has too many keys. The Stoic shield is built by taking those keys back. You do that by focusing on what remains yours in every situation. Your judgment. Your action. Your values. Your discipline. Your refusal to become bitter. Your willingness to begin again. This is where amor fati becomes powerful. To love fate does not mean pretending every event is good. It means refusing to waste your life arguing with reality after reality has already arrived. The job was lost. Now what? The relationship ended. Now what? The plan failed. Now what? The person disappointed you. Now what? The past happened. Now what? That question, now what, is the doorway back to power. Weakness keeps asking, why did this happen to me? Strength eventually asks, what can I build from what remains? This is not cold. It is necessary. Because life does not wait for you to feel ready. And society has little mercy for people who stay collapsed too long. That may sound harsh, but it is true. The world often praises your pain for a moment, then moves on. So you must become the person who does not abandon yourself when others stop watching. The resilient athlete rehabs when no one applauds. The person recovering from betrayal rebuilds trust in themselves before trusting others again. The worker who loses a position learns new skills instead of letting shame become identity. The parent under pressure finds one quiet moment a day to return to center. The person fighting chronic stress stops waiting for life to become gentle and starts becoming more selective with their energy. Invincibility is quiet. It looks like waking up and doing the next right thing while part of you still hurts. It looks like not announcing your comeback. It looks like not letting pain turn you cruel. It looks like refusing to let a hard season define the entire meaning of your life. Nietzsche said that he who has a why can bear almost any how. So find your why. Not a slogan. Not a fantasy. A real reason. Your children. Your future self. Your freedom. Your health. Your craft. Your peace. Your refusal to become another person destroyed by a world that never truly knew them. Hold that reason close. Because when life gets loud, your why must be louder. 10. The final mistake, trying to be calm while staying available to chaos. Here is the mistake most people make. They try to become calm while staying connected to everything that keeps disturbing them. They meditate, but still check toxic messages first thing in the morning. They journal, but still spend hours comparing themselves online. They breathe deeply, but still say yes to people who drain them. They read Stoic quotes, but still enter every argument, every drama, every emotional trap. Then they wonder why peace does not last. Peace cannot survive in an environment that is constantly poisoning it. You cannot heal while repeatedly touching the wound. This is the part many people resist because it requires more than mindset. It requires removal. Remove access. Remove noise. Remove false urgency. Remove people who only respect your boundaries after they have exhausted you. Remove habits that make you available to chaos before you are available to yourself. This is where Stoicism becomes practical and Machiavellian insight becomes useful. You must understand incentives. Some people benefit when you stay confused. Some people benefit when you stay guilty. Some people benefit when you stay reactive. Some people benefit when you keep explaining instead of leaving. Some platforms benefit when you are angry, insecure, and afraid. So stop asking why peace is difficult. Ask who profits from your disturbance. Then act accordingly. Protect your mornings. The first hour of your day should not belong to headlines, messages, outrage, or comparison. Protect your attention. Do not give your deepest focus to the loudest interruption. Protect your emotional availability. Not everyone who wants access to you deserves access to your nervous system. Protect your silence. Silence is where your mind repairs itself. And protect your standards. Because burnout often begins when you repeatedly negotiate with things you already know are wrong for you. You know the conversation will drain you. You enter anyway. You know the app makes you feel worse. You open it anyway. You know the person does not respect your limits. You keep making exceptions. You know your body needs rest. You keep proving loyalty to people who would replace you without grief. At some point, healing requires honesty. Not everyone deserves the same version of you. Some people deserve your warmth. Some deserve your distance. Some deserve your silence. Some deserve nothing more than the lesson they taught you. That is not bitterness. That is discernment. And discernment is one of the highest forms of peace. Take back the mind they trained to react. So let us bring this together. You do not have to keep up with a world designed to exhaust you. FOMO is not truth. It is comparison wearing a mask. Philosophy is not decoration. It is medicine for a mind constantly pulled away from itself. Anger feels powerful, but if it makes you predictable, it makes you controllable. Anxiety is often obedience to a future that has not happened. Fear becomes a prophecy when you start acting as if it already won. Impulses are not freedom. Many of them are chains disguised as relief. Drama is where weak people go to feel important, and you do not have to enter every fire just because someone invites you. Emotional outbursts rarely make you stronger. They usually reveal where you are still untrained. Invincibility is not being untouched. It is being unowned. And peace will not last if you keep giving access to the same chaos that keeps destroying it. This is the real lesson. Burnout is not always a sign that you are doing too much. Sometimes it is a sign that too many things have permission to reach you. Too many people. Too many expectations. Too many false emergencies. Too many performances. Too many emotional debts you never agreed to pay. So do not just rest. Reclaim. Reclaim your attention. Reclaim your reaction. Reclaim your silence. Reclaim your mornings. Reclaim your boundaries. Reclaim the part of you that existed before the world convinced you that exhaustion was the price of being valuable. You do not become powerful by controlling everything. You become powerful when everything no longer controls you. And that is the beginning of silent authority. If this message reached you at the right time, do not ignore it. Leave a comment with one word, reclaim. Not for the algorithm. For yourself. As a reminder that your mind is not public property. And if you want more lessons on emotional control, mental discipline, and quiet power in a world built on noise, subscribe to Silent Authority. Because the world will keep trying to provoke you. But from this point forward, it no longer gets to own your reaction.